Society hands us this incredibly heavy suit of armor literally the moment we're born.
Right, right.
And it essentially tells us, life is a battlefield. The underlying message is always that you have to fight for your slice of the pie. You got to conquer your career and basically defend your status against everyone else.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It really is. But there's this ancient philosophical text known as the 40 Lessons, and it suggests we have this entirely backwards. It argues that you're not actually a soldier in some grueling war. You are supposed to be on a relaxing vacation.
A vacation, which is such a jarring shift in perspective.
Right. So today, we are analyzing this text's radical roadmap. Our mission for your intensely curious listener is to map out this paradigm shift. We're looking at a guide to transitioning away from that exhausting pursuit of external material success and moving toward a really profound internal peace.
And setting the tone for this analysis means, well, acknowledging that we all kind of conceptually know the old cliche, right? Money doesn't buy happiness.
Sure, we've all heard it.
But this text pushes far, far past that basic cliche. It challenges the very mechanics of how we interact with the world. It asks us to fundamentally rethink the cognitive architecture of our daily lives.
I mean, it really strips away the noise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It offers a framework that views standard human ambition not just as, slightly misguided, but as an active form of self-imprisonment.
That is the perfect place to start. Because to understand this framework, we have to examine how the 40 Lessons deconstructs the totally flawed definition of happiness that, let's be honest, most of us operate under.
We absolutely do.
The text has a very strict definition of true happiness. It says it is a state of peace, awakening, and absolute freedom from all anxiety, period.
Meaning anything else, the dopamine hit from buying a new car, getting a huge promotion, getting likes on a post, all of that is categorized as an illusion.
Yeah, the text draws a really hard line between survival and joy. Like, it acknowledges that external things are necessary to physically stay alive, right? You need food, you need shelter.
Of course.
But it insists that true joy cannot be structurally tied to objects or to the opinions of other people.
Because if your happiness relies on external variables, it's inherently fragile. The moment the economy dips or someone criticizes you, your happiness shatters. True happiness requires a well-trained mind, one that generates peace entirely, regardless of external circumstances.
And what I love is that it doesn't take the easy puritanical route of just declaring all wealth inherently evil. It uses a really striking metaphor. It describes money, power, and fame as sharp tools.
Sharp tools, yeah.
Right, like a sharp tool can carve a beautiful piece of furniture if you actually possess the mastery to guide it. But it will effortlessly take your finger off if you aren't paying close attention.
That's such a visceral image.
So the implication is that most of us are just running around with chainsaws completely untrained, and we're constantly wondering why we're bleeding all over the place.
What's fascinating here is how the text explains the psychology behind that bleeding. It asserts that wealth, status, and the praise of others actually form a dark prison.
A dark prison. Wow.
Yeah. Because when we orient our entire cognitive load around acquiring these things, we trigger this deeply isolating mechanism. The pursuit of status forces us into a defensive posture.
Constantly guarding our hoard.
Precisely. We become so obsessed with acquiring more and so terrified of losing what we have that we lock ourselves into a state of constant low-grade suffering. We effectively lose our freedom because our possessions and our reputation are now the things dictating our behavior.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot like a massive multiplayer video game, right? Society treats collecting money and social status like scoring points. You see the number in your bank account go up, your brain gets a hit of dopamine, and you think, hey, I am winning the game.
You feel like you're climbing the leaderboard.
Right. But the text flips the board. It implies those aren't points at all. Every dollar you obsessively hoard, every piece of status you meticulously curate, you're actually just gathering the iron bars to build your own jail cell.
You are the architect of your own confinement.
Exactly.
And that structural view is exactly what the text aims to dismantle. It offers a very clear directive. It says you have to be a rebel.
But not like a political rebel with a pitchfork.
No, an internal rebellion. It urges you to be brave enough to break out of this dark prison of societal expectations. The argument is that once you sever the psychological link between your self-worth and your accumulation of wealth, you step outside those bars.
And you finally see the world for what it is.
Right. You perceive how wide, vast, and completely limitless the world truly is.
Okay, but if we follow that logic, we immediately hit a massive practical roadblock.
I know where you're going with this.
I mean, if wealth and status are a trap and ambition is the architect of our prison, why on earth do we spend 80,000 hours of our waking lives working?
It's the elephant in the room.
Right. Which brings us to the text's radical redefinition of labor. It explicitly states that work is absolutely not a tool for making money.
Which is a deeply jarring concept for anyone operating in a modern economy.
Oh, complete.
But the text fundamentally separates the act of working from the acquisition of wealth.
He says work is actually a tool for refining our defilements.
Defilements, yeah.
So it frames a career not as an economic engine, but as a grinding stone for the soul. It's a mechanism for sanding down our flaws, our ego, our impatience, and ultimately it's just a way of serving our fellow human beings.
And there is a profound psychological warning attached to this in the text. It argues that if we work selfishly, like if our internal engine is entirely driven by a desire to elevate ourselves, get rich, and crush the competition, our jobs secretly mutate.
Mutate how?
Well, when the ego drives the labor, the work subtly transforms into an activity that oppresses and exploits others. And often we don't even recognize the damage we are doing. The intention behind the work fundamentally alters its actual impact on the world.
Let me push back on this, though, because we are talking to an audience living in the real world. You know, an audience with rent, mortgages, career trajectory.
Practical realities, yeah.
Right. So if I am supposed to sever the link between my labor and my paycheck, and I'm not supposed to care about success or climbing the ladder, how do I find the motivation to actually do difficult things?
It's a very fair question.
If the goal isn't to win or provide security, what is the psychological engine that gets someone out of bed on a rainy Tuesday to go to a highly stressful job?
It's the necessary question. And the text resolves it by totally redefining where power comes from. It argues that true motivation doesn't come from the anxiety of ambition or, the dangling carrot of a future reward.
So where does it come from?
True power comes from intense, singular focus on the task right in front of you. By executing your work with love, patience, and diligence, and this is regardless of whether you are analyzing complex financial data or just sweeping the floor, you achieve something vastly superior to material success. You achieve self-mastery.
So the focus basically shrinks. It shrinks from a grand 5-year career plan down to the microscopic execution of the present moment. The act of overcoming your own internal resistance to doing the work properly, that is the actual reward.
Precisely. You learn the profound truth that perseverance itself is far more valuable than the finish line.
Wow.
The paycheck becomes a mere side effect. It facilitates your physical survival, sure, but the real profit is the mastery of your own mind. When you stop obsessing over the outcome, you free up an immense amount of cognitive energy, which you can then pour directly into the execution.
That shift in perspective completely changes the texture of how we experience a workday. It's not about surviving until 5 p.m. anymore.
No, not at all.
And because the text advises this intense microscopic focus on the immediate task, it naturally forces us to reevaluate how we experience time itself.
Oh, time is perhaps the most heavily distorted concept in the human experience, at least according to this philosophy.
Because we spend the vast majority of our mental lives either hyperanalyzing the past or trying to obsessively predict the future.
Exactly. And the text has a strict, uncompromising rule on this. There is no past and there is no future. There is only the present moment.
It warns us to stop burning our present moments on the shadows of yesterday or tomorrow. Burning. I love that word choice.
It's very apt. Think about the biological cost of that habit. When we waste energy reliving a past argument or dreading a future meeting, our nervous system reacts as if those events were happening right now.
Our heart rate goes up, we start sweating.
Right. We are literally setting fire to the only reality we actually possess the present moment by feeding it to phantoms.
That is so true.
And the text offers a brilliant practical application of this regarding human interaction. It states that the most important person in your life is whoever is standing right in front of you.
Because in that specific micro moment, they are the only real person in the universe.
Yes.
Every other relationship, every other obligation you have is functionally a ghost until you are back in their physical presence. Imagine if we actually lived that way, treating the person in front of you with that level of absolute undivided presence. It would completely revolutionize how we communicate.
It really would. It forces a depth of connection that we usually bypass because our minds are just somewhere else. And the text extends this philosophy of presence to our physical environment as well.
Right. It redirects our attention. It pulls us away from that relentless pursuit of peak experiences. the exotic vacations, the massive promotions, and points us toward the profound joy hidden in the mundane.
It actually elevates the mundane to the main event.
Yeah. It argues that sweeping the floor or organizing a messy room, walking in your backyard, feeding stray birds, these aren't chores you have to rush through just to get to the quote-unquote good part of your day.
No, if you apply that singular focus we talked about, those actions are the good part.
It notes that nature, the sky, the clouds, the trees, is our true friend, and that simply observing it naturally regulates the mind and keeps the ego in check.
The text democratizes beauty entirely. It argues that the greatest work of art isn't locked behind glass in some elite museum. It is a tiny blade of grass created by nature.
You don't need wealth or status to access it.
Exactly. You just need the mental bandwidth to actually look down and see it.
But this brings up a deeply counterintuitive idea from the text that I really want us to dissect. Because we are culturally conditioned to view experience as a universally good thing, right?
Sure, experience is a resume builder.
Exactly. You live, you learn, you gain experience, and that makes you wiser. Yet the text argues that experience is actually the root of all worry and fear. I mean, how does the accumulation of lived experience equate to fear?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of how the brain processes memory, the text's logic is remarkably sound. Think about what an experience actually is in this context. It is historical data. When we rely too heavily on our experiences, we are basically using past traumas, past failures, and past judgments as a predictive model for the present.
So if I failed terribly at public speaking 5 years ago, my quote-unquote experience is sending a danger signal.
Right.
It's telling my nervous system to be terrified of the microphone in front of me right now, even though I am literally a different person and it is a completely different room.
Exactly. Relying on past experiences keeps us trapped in a loop of old anxieties. We stop seeing the world as it unfolds, and we only perceive it through the distorted lens of what has already happened to us.
We're flying blind, just looking at the rearview mirror.
Yes. So the text urges us to step past our experiences and into the freshness of the present moment. It challenges us to treat every second as entirely new.
Just maintaining an inner awareness of simply being awake.
Right, rather than letting our historical data act as an autopilot that drives us straight into defensive fear.
Here's where it gets really interesting. To truly step into this freshness, to treat every second as new, you can't be weighed down. And this is the logic behind the text's incredibly strict warnings against accumulation. It issues a mandate: do not accumulate anything.
Which is a total, unapologetic rejection of the consumer mechanics that drive modern society.
Absolutely.
The text argues that accumulation directly leads to attachment, and attachment is the primary engine of human suffering.
The causal link makes perfect sense. The more you own, the more those possessions demand your cognitive bandwidth. You have to protect them, insure them, clean them, and fundamentally you have to worry about losing them.
You're constantly maintaining your hoard.
Right. It actually reminds me of how random access memory, or RAM, works on a computer.
Oh, how so?
Well, when your laptop is just crawling, the fans are spinning super loudly, and it takes 10 seconds just to open a basic text document.
Yeah, we've all been there.
It's not because the computer's broken. It's because you have 85 browser tabs open, 3 heavy editing programs running in the background, and your hard drive is at maximum capacity.
I see where you're going.
Once you stop hoarding all those background processes, you close the tabs, you delete the bloated files, the machine runs beautifully, it becomes light and responsive. The text seems to be saying our brains operate on the exact same principle.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize cognitive load. When your mind is bloated with attachments to physical objects, historical grievances, and future desires, your processing speed for the present moment just grinds to a halt.
So what's the alternative?
The text's alternative is elegant. Keep the harvest of your life strictly in your memories. Throw away the physical and mental clutter. By clearing out those background processes, your life becomes sharp, clear, and highly responsive to the present.
But let's clarify the practical application of this. I mean, does the text imply we're literally supposed to abandon society? Are we all supposed to be wandering monks living in caves with zero possessions?
The text is actually quite explicit on this point. It advises us to live like a wanderer, but it clarifies that this is an internal disposition. It's not necessarily a physical mandate to, go sleep on the streets.
Okay.
You are allowed to sit in a comfortable chair, and you are allowed to eat a delicious meal. The rule is that you cannot take refuge in them. You cannot claim them as your identity or assume they belong to you permanently. You are just a traveler passing through.
So you're basically renting the experience of the chair rather than owning it.
Precisely. And this internal disposition goes much, much deeper than physical furniture. The text insists that you must apply this to your own internal state as well.
Meaning,
You must recognize that even your emotions and your thoughts do not actually belong to you.
they don't belong to me.
No, they are just passing weather systems in the vast sky of your mind. If you don't attach your identity to them, if you stop saying, I am this anger or I am this sadness, those storms will naturally drift away.
Wow. If we accept this framework, if we're just wanderers renting our experiences, watching the weather of our own minds without claiming ownership of it, how does the text suggest we view the grand arc of our lives?
It leads to what is arguably the most liberating perspective in the entire philosophy. It presents a deeply comforting paradox regarding the human need for certainty.
And the paradox being that you will never truly understand life until the day you die, because life is fundamentally impossible to understand.
Right. It is too vast, too complex, and too relentlessly unpredictable for the human mind to ever solve.
And the beauty of this realization is that once you finally accept that you are incapable of solving the equation of life, you are immediately freed from all the anxiety of trying.
When you surrender the illusion of control, you can finally transition from trying to manage life to simply experiencing it.
Which is huge.
It is. The text emphasizes that to do this, we need to intentionally create a gap between ourselves and the situations we face. It warns us not to drown in the world's events.
So when political turmoil happens, or when economic shifts occur,
Or when the inevitable social drama of human existence erupts, the text advises us to view the world as a sprawling soap opera or a theatrical play.
viewing the nightly news or a highly stressful board meeting as just a really intense theater production completely neutralizes the threat.
It fundamentally changes your relationship to the stress. You step back. You become the watcher in the audience. You can observe the drama. You can appreciate the stakes the actors are feeling, but you don't have to jump onto the stage and start taking punches.
You just watch it.
You view the unfolding, chaotic events of the world with a sense of entertainment and a relaxed, joyful heart, precisely because you know it's a play you don't control.
It even takes it one step further with a final mind-bending thought. It says life is so utterly unexpected, so strange and fluid, that we might actually just be dreaming that we are living.
It's a powerful metaphor.
If it's all just a fleeting illusion, a play we are watching while wandering through, why take it so agonizingly seriously? So what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now? The 40 Lessons is offering an invitation to permanently take off that heavy suit of armor society handed you.
Take it off and leave it on the floor.
It is asking you to stop treating your limited time on Earth as a stressful pass-or-fail combat mission. Treat it, instead, as a wonderful, relaxing vacation. You don't own the hotel, you don't control the weather, and you certainly don't control the other guests.
Definitely not.
But you can absolutely step outside, completely unburdened, and enjoy the warmth of the sun in the present moment.
It is a complete reframing of human existence. But before we conclude, if we take this philosophy to its absolute limit, it leaves us with a rather profound question to consider.
Let's hear it.
If we strip away all of our attachments, if we view all drama as a play we are merely watching and we keep nothing but transient memories, do we risk losing the very friction and deep emotional entanglements that connect us to other human beings in the first place? Can we be truly detached and still truly love? Something to explore on your own.
A fascinating tension to navigate as we try to implement this. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Put down your sword, clear out the clutter, and go enjoy your wonderful vacation in this world.